I'm not afraid of him. That needs to learn his place. He needs to learn not to mess or blackmail others ever again, Erin said. The others felt a little touched. It seemed like Erin had changed, as if she was fighting for their sake, something that she had never done in the past. But little did they know, Erin was still the same as always. When she was talking about blackmail, she was talking about her situation. She was afraid that if she didn't go through with this, there was a chance that Fex could tell everyone about what she read. She regretted giving him an easy time when the two of them were at the library, and now wished she had taught him a lesson, and now this time she would. Don't worry, I'm confident in my skills. If I was to lose to like him, then I deserved it for not training hard enough. Erin's stubborn side had shown, and at this point, Layla was the only one trying to convince her to not go, while the boys remained silent. Even Peter wanted to get this whole thing over with, and if Layla just had to become a vampire's blood bank, then it was a small price to pay. Peter had to do worse things than that right now. I think it'll be fine. We shall meet on the roof, Vorden explained. The three of us will wait by the door to make sure no one else comes upstairs. If anything fishy happens, we can come out and help her. Do you think he'll be okay with that? Peter asked. Didn't he say he wanted to meet her alone? The two of them will still be alone, and we will just be a short distance away. If he truly says he will do her no harm, then he should at least accept these conditions, Vorden explained. A plan had been set, although it wasn't a very good plan. It felt like it was the only thing they could do at that moment. Quinn had left the room to go meet up with Fex to set the meeting point tonight, while Erin wanted to go to the practice room to brush up on her skills before the meeting. But before she left, Vorden stopped her by holding her hand. Sorry, I'm going to need to say this, Vorden said. Listen to me, Erin. If you need any help or anything, you come running to me, all right? I promise I won't let this guy get you. Vorden, you are the only trustworthy one in this group. I would never rely on any of the others to protect me. Erin still believed Vorden was the best option out of everyone out there. She had seen him get serious and even beat a student from one of the big four. Although Quinn was powerful, he had too many weaknesses an enemy could exploit if they were to find them out. What the hell? Why doesn't he treat me like that? Layla asked in disbelief. Am I the only one he treats like? What the hell did I do? Vorden had grown close to his circle around him. He had never had this many people close to him before, and Erin was one of the very few people who had approached him first. He didn't want to upset this little family he had subconsciously created. Unfortunately, Layla got the short end of the stick due to the little misunderstanding about the relationship between Quinn and her. Vorden then went off with Peter to gather the strongest abilities he could find, first heading to find Berg and one other ability. It was a calm day. It wasn't too hot, and it hadn't rained in a few days, so the ground was dry. Quinn stood there opposite Fex, behind the roof door. The door was slightly open as the four of them peeked to have a look at what was going on. Erin's hand was twitching as she had it hovered over her sword's hilt. The others had to do everything in their power to convince her not to go out there and start a fight straight away. They were interested in what Fex had to say, and if she was to go out with her head full of steam right now, it would ruin everything. The best option for them was to come out of this with no fighting. If that did happen, Vorden was prepared. He currently had an ice ability, a fire ability, and also a slow regenerative ability. While trying to get the ability, it took him longer than he thought, since he couldn't find the original person he got it from last time. Luckily, at the last moment, he was able to find another student with a similar but weaker version of the ability. He needed to make sure to keep the regenerative ability in case things didn't go to plan. If Fex didn't have a solution, then once again he would have to prepare himself to remove another body part. It was also unlikely that he would be able to get Syl to fight for them anyway. At most, Vorden could convince Rayton. Syl was unreliable, so Vorden never went into a fight relying on him. So you understand the terms then, Quinn said. We will be waiting just on the other side of that door, and if anything happens to her, we will— I know, Fex said with a yawn. I already gave you my word, didn't I? You should already know a vampire's word is sacred. It's something that cannot be easily broken. And about the ghoul problem, you promise you'll help us straight after, right? Quinn asked. I already have it sorted, Fex said confidently. Just a fair warning, she knows what you are, so she will be cautious, Quinn replied. Looks like you're breaking rules all over the place, Fex said. I guess it isn't a problem if you plan to turn her eventually. Fex had never seen a vampire break all the rules so casually. There was only one person who was as daring as him, and that was Fex himself. Most vampires were boring and strict, very traditional in the sense, and had been so for many years. It was why Fex yearned to go to the human world. The more he was finding out about Quinn, the more his interest grew. But with his position, he could get away with a few things here or there. While Quinn had never seen him before, he felt like the more he stayed around this guy, perhaps more interesting events would start to unfold. Quinn had done everything he could, but it was still hard for him to trust Fex. Even the system didn't seem to have a solution to the current problem, so he just wondered what Fex had that they didn't. As soon as she opened the door, Erin was ready to head out in his place. "Erin, please remember the plan," Layla said. Erin nodded and then headed straight out as the other three watched from behind the door. At first, Erin walked slowly, but as she got closer and closer to Fex, she started to walk faster. The closer she got to him, the more annoyed she was at seeing his face. "Oh, the beautiful Goldilocks has finally come out. I have a proposal for you," Fex said. But suddenly the walking turned into a jog. After hearing Fex's voice, the anger inside her only got worse, and then finally she had enough and pulled out her sword. "I thought I had already warned you. If you were to mention what you saw in the library, I would teach you a lesson," she shouted. "Looks like she isn't sticking to the plan," Layla said. "The library? Have these two met before?" Peter asked. "It seems like there might be a bit of tension between the two that we didn't know about before," Quinn added. "Damn it!" Vorden shouted. "She's going to get herself killed." As Vorden went to open the door, Quinn pulled him back. "Just wait, Vorden. If he wanted to harm her, why would he do it in front of us? And if he did kill all of us here, then he would only be hunted down by the school." What Quinn said made a lot of sense to Vorden. Still, he couldn't help but worry. Hearing Erin's words, Fex was a bit confused. He could tell she was angry, but apparently it had something to do with their last meeting. Wait! It couldn't have something to do with that book, could it? As she charged forward, her face had now gone bright red once again, and she pulled out her sword, but suddenly her movement started to slow as she felt something wrapping around her legs and arms. When she looked at Fex, she could see him doing something with his hands. "That's it, I'm going to save her," Vorden said. "Wait!" Peter shouted. "That's the same thing he did to me. I don't think he's trying to hurt her." The string-like substance continued to tangle all over her body. When Erin looked around, she noticed that there were small little daggers placed around the roof with a little ring on top. Finally, she was completely restricted and could no longer move.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.